Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Take these earbuds out. Welcome. Welcome to day 23. Day 23 of 30. The 30-day Boss Up Challenge. You all have been hanging in here. So, we're going to get started with the usual. I'm going to ask you to please like the video, share the video, excuse me, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is called Business Builder Basics. Hey, Derek. So, if you could do that for me, I really appreciate it. And there may be some people that would like this information. And what we do here is we talk about how to boss up, how to start your own business, how to become self-employed, how to get a side hustle, how to develop a wealth consciousness, and just improve your overall financial situation and the way you think about money, the way you think about wealth, okay? So I'd love it if you all would join the Facebook group and subscribe to the channel, because even after the 30-day Boss Up Challenge is over, I'll still be tuning in and expanding and creating new programs and reaching out to children and different things to try to help reach them while they're young. So there's so much more in store if you guys stick with me. So I'd like to do acknowledgements today, and the person I'd like to show honor today is Frederick Delaney. I was scrolling on my timeline and I saw that he announced that it's official, that he has started his company, and it's called D2 Management and Consulting LLC. I think I may have seen this person in this group maybe once or twice, maybe not, I'm not sure. It looks familiar though, the name looks familiar. And so I told him I wanted to shout him out today, and I asked him more about his business, and I'm going to post that contact information after, and hopefully I don't forget, but I like to make sure I do that. But what he does is, let me tell you, I have to look at my message. So he does quite a few things. He does property and business management, along with fitness and business consulting. He wants to provide a service where people who rent properties or have businesses only want to collect profits and not really have to worry about the day-to-day stuff. That sounds awesome, actually. I might have to talk to him. So he assists with business startup, marketing, and helping them get other resources needed to launch their brand and increase revenue. So he's a personal trainer, and he has a couple of clients now. He's working with someone to help them start secure a contract, helping a security company with contract negotiations and office training. And working with someone, trying a licensed masseuse that wants to open up her own spa. That's another one of his clients, and helping someone start and maintain a barbershop. And he currently has 2 rental properties under his belt and 6 clients for the personal training. Frederick Delaney is a busy man. Congratulations, that is wonderful. I love to see people starting their own businesses, and I like the way he is diverse. He doesn't have all his eggs in one basket, so he's definitely making sure that if one thing may not work out, he has other things that he can do. So I think it's really great, and I'm going to provide his contact information at the end of this video. And a new thing I want to add when I start going live, besides acknowledgements, is going to be an opportunities segment of the show. Opportunities will be when I talk about people that I know that are looking for partners, people that I know that are looking for employees, contractors, or just basically a call for help or something. If anyone is in need of anything where they're looking for other people and they want a formal announcement, please inbox me and let me know, and I'll put that information out there. One thing I have on the table I told you about yesterday is Compliment Jewelry Corporation. They are looking to expand their brand and they want to do more sales. They're looking for people to come and partner and not be an employee. I mean, they're looking for employees too, but they're looking for partners to help expand the brand, to be able to sell things on QVC and even potentially, create a multi-level marketing. The sky's the limit depending on who they team up with. So the good news is the person that they're looking for doesn't have to have startup capital. They don't have to invest any money. Their capital is human capital, their time that they would put into helping to grow the business, because the people in the business have other businesses and other commitments, and it's very difficult to grow when you don't have a big enough team. So if you're interested in that, I'll try to remember to put that out. Compliment Jewelry Corporation, they do have a website, and I'll give you the contact information if you or anyone that you know may be interested in that type of business. It would be very easy to slide into that because, they already have everything they need. All of the equipment, supplies, marketing materials. So I think it could be a really good opportunity for sure. All right, so let's get to the topic. I want to make the topic a little juicy tonight. Let's have a little fun tonight. We're going to talk about pros and cons of working with friends and family. Pros and cons of working with friends and family. Okay. So, when you're getting an idea to go into business, who are the first people that you actually naturally think you're going to reach out to collaborate or hear what you have to say or, partner? Who is it that you think you would naturally first think about when you get a business idea and you want to move forward with recruiting a team? Now, a lot of people will say family and friends, and that's very natural and normal for that to be your first thought. And the reason why people typically think that first is because that's who is available to them. That's who is within reach. It's a comfort thing. It's like a certain amount of security, almost a false security really, but a certain amount of security that people feel if they work with their family. Well, there are pros and cons to that. Really, it depends on the family. The family system will mean a lot if you can do this or not. So the good news is, I will not say that you cannot work with family. Some families, I'm sure, work very effectively together, and then there are some families that just can't quite figure it out. So let's talk about the pros and the cons. So the pros of working with family is, again, the convenience and the proximity generally. People that you're usually in contact with, who you feel you can trust, that you think care about you, you care about them, they're not going to try to get over. These are just some kind of, assumptions. We already know it doesn't apply to every family. But for people that do want to work with family, it's usually because they do feel like there are those pros. My family's not going to get over on me. They're not going to hurt me. They might get on my nerve, but they're not going to hurt me. This is what they may be thinking. So that can be a pro. Other pros is that you want to see your family do well, right? So when you're in business, you almost feel like to not invite them or include them in something would feel like you're excluding them. And you may really want to give them an opportunity, or want them to give you an opportunity to work together so that the family can actually do well. And after all, strengthening our communities and our family systems should be a priority in everyone's household. Making sure that your family is good. You know, not just the children, but the elders in your family, the aunts, the uncles. I mean, you just want to make sure that your family is good in most cases. So that's a pro. You feel like you're looking out for your family, and that if you prosper, then they're going to be right there by your side prospering with you. Other pros could be, because of that, you know, trust that may already be established, family may be willing to suspend their disbelief more than they would to like a complete stranger. A complete stranger, if you go to them and you pitch an idea or give them your business plan, they don't know you, right? And so the kind of things you're proposing to do, the stranger may be less inclined to believe that this is a possibility or that it can work. Your family, depending on how they feel about you and what they think of you, they may feel like, or have this notion that you can do anything you put your mind to it, or they just want to get behind you and support you. So whether or not they really believe it's going to work, they'll get behind you. Some family will. Well, that's another pro. You know, you might feel like you don't have to prove yourself as much. Depends on who you are too. If you're the kind of person that you've shown your family most of your life that you have a spirit of excellence, that you're a go-getter, you're ambitious, then it really won't take as much convincing, because they know who you are. I mean, they've known you from since you were a baby right on up to whoever you are today. And that can be an advantage, but that can also be a disadvantage, and I'll save that for the cons. So you might have more credibility with your family because they know who you are. They know what you probably can do, what you're capable of doing. So those are pros. If I think of more pros, I'll come back to it. I do want to get to some cons. Well, another pro, I'll say, before I go to cons, another pro is that one thing I heard Dr. Boyce Watkins say is that families need to work together, and that it can be fun, and that you should consider getting together with your family and business, treat it like a family reunion. You know, when you're working together and you're maybe possibly even physically together in close proximity, or, you know, you all are working on a project and you get to spend a lot of time together talking, treat it like a family reunion where you're really enjoying that time together even though you're grinding or working. I can kind of relate to that when we started the B&B, because I had my father, my biological father, my stepfather, my mother, my sister's husband, my sister, let's see, who else was there? I had a friend of mine, and we were just like spending a lot of time together. We were working though, but whether it was my stepdad painting in one room with the music going, my dad in the other room putting together furniture, you know, it's like me and my mom hanging curtains and decorating, and everyone's talking and, you know, for the most part having a good time. I think that's that dynamic that Dr. Boyce Watkins was talking about. So it can be nice, actually. So you get to spend more time with your family, and because business, when you're starting up, you're devoting so much time to your business. If there is a way to include your family in it, now they get to be a part of the process, and you get to spend time with them. Even though it may not be doing the kind of things you prefer to do, you're still there and spending time with the person, and that counts, believe it or not. So that's another pro. Now, the cons of working with family, it's almost the reverse of everything that was a pro, because it can work either way. but it depends on the family system and the individual. The cons could be, let's say your family feel a sense of entitlement that they're just supposed to be a part of your project or your business simply just because they're family. And you go ahead and decide to collaborate with family. And when you become a part of things, you may have other non-familial members a part of your company or project. Well, if they come and they think that there's nepotism going on, where you're showing favoritism towards family members, that can cause a problem. Let's say that somebody is automatically made the vice president or automatically made the treasurer, and those are like some of the highest positions, right? They're automatically put in those positions because they're family, but there's a non-familial person that has a degree in finance and accounting. Well, why is that person not the treasurer? So these kind of things could pose, potential problems if you have non-familial members or either other family members vying for a position and feeling like, now you have like a conflict. So nepotism is one thing, and the problems that can come with that. Although I do think that nepotism, once you have started a business or your empire, you reserve the right to, do nepotism. Like, you can do that. Like, that is really, many people have been doing it over the years, and so I don't really think it's a problem to do it, but it shouldn't be at the expense of the business, okay? So giving somebody a shot just because they're your family, that's no problem. But if they get in there and they don't do a good job, you have to know how to address that. Other cons would be, remember I said one of the pros is that they know who you are? Well, one of the cons is that they know who you are, right? So they know you may be very good at certain things, but everyone's flawed, right? And so I guarantee your family generally know what your flaws are. And depending on what those flaws are, they may be very reluctant to do business with you because they feel like that's not something that's going to make for success, basically. If you know what the flaws are, you may distance yourself from that project because you know the person too well, right? And that also can mean you can actually feel like you know a person because you've been dealing with them all your life, but part of the risk you run is passing up on an opportunity because you think you have this person pegged, right? But you don't know what kind of transformation this person may have made in their life, or what the dynamic is going to be like in business with this person. And also that your perception of the person could be wrong, actually. It could be wrong. And so you have your ideas about what you think is wrong with this person. And it may cause you to miss out, basically, if you don't want to be a part of it. Maybe other people's experience with that person won't be the same with you. Family dynamics can be pretty complicated, and the way you relate to your family members may not be how you relate with your coworkers or your friends outside of your family. So knowing somebody can also work against you, okay? If they feel let's say they believe you're a greedy person, or you're a dishonest person, or you're a very aggressive person, or you're immature, or that you don't have a good work ethic, or that you may be in the throes of an active addiction, that you don't have under control. When you know those things, rightfully so, you want to try to decide, should I go into business with this family member? So, whereas a person who's not your family member and not your friend, unless you choose to share those things with them, they wouldn't know those things about you, generally. And that's an advantage sometimes, because oftentimes you want a clean slate with people. You want to be able to be a better you, and also be around people that bring out the best in you, So, there's that basically. It's just really tricky. This thing can be really tricky. Other cons could be, generally, I feel like if you have a healthy relationship, like let's say, when I'm talking about working with family and friends, this includes spouses as well. So if you have a healthy relationship, I'm less concerned about the impact that starting a business will have on your relationship. I'm less concerned. That does not mean I'm not concerned. I feel like if relationship health could be quantifiable, like a number system, 100% being you guys are perfect. You guys are both content with every aspect of your union, and you would change nothing. You would improve nothing. That would be 100%, right? And then 0 would be this person is lucky you have not like shot him or something, right? Or run him over with the car. They're lucky. That's a 0. That's what a 0 looks like. And then everything in between. So my thoughts on this is that wherever you start, your level of health in your relationship, if you choose to do business together, I feel there is a very high risk. And I'm not going to say it will happen to everyone, because I know there will be some people that will say, oh no, I know an exception. So I'll go ahead and leave the door open that there may be exceptions. But I'll say in general, if you go into business together, because of how tough and grueling it can be, and I think that your score is going to go down. Now, how much it goes down is up to you and your significant other, right? And not just a spouse, but any family member, right? Or any friend. Whatever your relationship score is, the health of your relationship, I think that you run the risk of decreasing that score. And it may just be temporarily, while you're going through the hardest parts of the business, where it's startup or expansion phase, or you're hitting hard times and don't quite know how to cope or get through it. I think you run the risk of, I don't want to say damaging your relationship, but damaging your relationship, maybe not beyond repair, but straining the relationship at the very least, right? Straining it. So it's almost like you have to be willing to sacrifice some things, because if you go into business with family, you just know that it increases the likelihood that you all are going to run into some kind of issue that you all could butt heads on or cause some kind of real serious situation. I mean, I'm sure there have been situations that have been very serious between family members, and it has caused them to part ways, period, and not go back to talking to each other or whatever. So what I would say is the strain that it puts, I would say it's a con, because it puts a strain on your relationship when you're working with family and friends. But the amount of strain and the amount of damage and how much your health score comes down is dependent upon the people in the family system, on the individuals. So if you have a high healthy relationship score, 9 times out of 10, you may have a high individual health score, right? And if your individual health score is higher, you are less likely to damage relationships beyond repair when you go into business with people. But if you are a person where you are very low on your score for health, then be prepared for there to be some problems, especially if you choose someone who also has a low score. That may not be the best thing to do, and you have to consider that. So do you really want to sacrifice your marriage, sacrifice your friendship with this person, especially if you've been doing business before and you've seen how things can turn out, and now you think about how much you value your relationship with this person, but you also feel like they could be really good, collaborating in business. So you feel like, you're faced with making a choice. Do I go there or not? It really truly is something to consider, because when you start getting involved with business and money and assets and decision making and how you deal with underperforming or all those things, it can really be difficult. So if you're going to choose to do it, please make sure your level of health is high and that your relationship is healthy with that person. Okay? Because it's going to cause a strain. I feel like 9 times out of 10, it's going to strain any relationship, no matter how healthy it is. It's going to put some strain on it. All right, other cons. So we talked about entitlement and nepotism. We talked about straining the relationship. I have one. It happened today. You all know I always have some type of inspiration for my topic each day. So let's say you have a moderately healthy family score amongst individuals on your team, and you are preparing for a meeting, right? And something happens with one of the individuals that, and it becomes like not so much a crisis, but it's something that the person wants to tend to because it's another family situation who's also family with the team who's waiting to have this meeting, right? Now there's an issue with another family member that one of the team members wants to tend to and address. The choice to address that situation at that time was only that person only felt comfortable doing that because the meeting was only family members in attendance, right? If there was a non-familial person in that meeting, that person would have handled that situation differently. She would have probably made a decision to wait until after the meeting to do what she was going to do that involved the other family members in that personal matter. What ended up happening is that by bringing that personal matter that concerned all of the family, the agenda for that meeting did not get accomplished because the attention turned to dealing with the family issue. Now, instead of a business meeting, we're having like some kind of family intervention, right? And then because of the topic and the sensitivities and the subject nature, it can get to a point where people are getting upset with each other, or, certain people where their individual health score may be kind of plummeting or lower, maybe lower than average, or maybe just low in general. Now you have the dynamic in that group. It's just like an unhealthy dynamic and no productivity. So what really should have happened in the situation, if you're going to work with family, try to treat family as if they are not family, as far as a game you play in your mind, right? You treat it as though they're somebody from off the street and you owe them the same level of professionalism and courtesy and respect that any non-familial member would get, because you wouldn't be as comfortable, right, doing certain things. And I'm not saying you have to come dressed up to the meeting or that kind of thing, but certain behaviors and certain ways that you interact in your family, your typical family system, that has to be altered and adapted to business dynamics, right? Like rules for when you're in a meeting and who can speak when and how you're speaking, your volume, and the content of what you're talking about. All those things. It should be treated as if you're with people that you don't know. That will help a lot, I think, if people change their mindset for that. And that mishandling of the situation today led to nothing getting done at that particular time. And what it also does is that after that meeting is over, now you return to family mode, and there's still residual feelings from whatever that topic was that you were dealing with. Now it spills over. And now more time is wasted outside of the official meeting time because now you feel a certain way, right? You feel a certain way. And so that's wasted time because now your creative juices and your mind is really preoccupied with the strife in the family system. So it kind of halts everything. Whereas if it had been a good day, you would be constantly texting this person or these family members and hitting them up and saying, hey, you know what, I forgot. We should do this. And I think about, I think this. Let's do a quick phone conference or, but now you're not in the mindset to do that because, you've allowed negativity to come in and at a bad time. So timing is important. And the way you do time and place is important. And so that family intervention should have waited until after the business was done, unless it was a true crisis, where it's like you have to act right now. Then of course you handle your business, right? But other than that, it can wait. It can wait. Ill-timed decisions like that, especially if it's the leader or the so-called leader making those type of moves, it's really bad. It's bad for the team. It's bad for the business. And those dynamics are there because it's your family or potentially your best friends or your good friends, because that's maybe how you all communicate normally, but that's not going to get it for business. So those are cons. I'm trying to think if there are other cons. I think I've covered most that I can think of. I'd love to hear from you all as far as what you all think, experiences you all have had, or to give you a certain philosophy about working with family. While you all are thinking of your comments or questions, I just want to say we all need to be working on increasing our individual health score and our relationship scores with our partners, significant others, with our family members, because the stronger and the higher your score is, you can afford to drop some points here and there. If you're at a 95, that's a strong A. If you drop down to 85, that's still a B plus and you're passing. But if you were already at a B plus and you drop down to a C plus, by some standards, I know my school, that's considered failing. Anything lower than a B is failing. So if try to work on your relationships to keep that score as high as possible, so that when you run into issues in business, your score isn't dropping to a level of failure. One of the things I love about my family is that, we always just get over ourselves. Some take longer than others, but people usually get back to business fairly quickly. I'm not talking about weeks and months, but fairly quickly. So being able to bounce back, resilience is important in your relationships. If you know you and your family have a real strong air of unconditional love, and you all know your faults, your craziness, and you still know that you love this person because they ultimately want what's best for you. They love you. It's real. They don't have to. They're past the stage of having to prove anything. You just know this person loves you and they have your back and they support you, even when conversations or situations arise that may look different, or So if you have that kind of family, I encourage you, go on into business with them, because you will be able to bounce back even if there is a strain. But I can only speak on my family. I am well aware that there are some families that can't even be in the same room together without someone getting hurt physically. So, of course, that's not the family that should be going into business together. You know, families that have a lot of inner hatred and jealousies between family members and not a real kind of idea of unconditional love. Remember, just because your family doesn't mean the love is there. Just because your family does not mean the love is there. There are a lot of families that are loveless. And I've seen the result of what a apparently loveless family can produce. If you're a loveless family, I mean, maybe you could go into business together, but it seems like you might have to look at those people like they're complete strangers and know that they might stab you in the back, or know they might be hating on you low key, or they might, you know, do something cruddy, so, or shady. So, you know, that doesn't seem attractive to me. Just because someone's family doesn't mean I would go into business with them if I felt like it was loveless. So that's, you know, it's really tough. I do have another con. I don't see any questions, so I'll keep talking. Another con for couples is if you work together, if you go into business together, not just you have a business and your spouse have a job or have their own separate business, but you work together building the business. Well, what happens when it's time to split? What happens if there's a decision in that relationship that it's time to divorce? I mean, it can get very complicated, and I've seen cases where one person walks away with nothing. Even something that might have been their idea and they were very instrumental in building it, walk away with nothing. So there's a real risk there, and I mean, it would have been less likely that would have happened. It would not have happened if that person had been in the business and they had their spouse outside of the business, because then in court the outside person would not have been able to have a compelling case that they have helped build this place and that they are instrumental in the daily operations. So I don't like giving advice to couples. That's not my lane at all. But think about those things when you go into business with your spouse. Always consider that worst case scenario, and that doesn't mean you don't do it, but it's just, at least you should think about, like, it's not that you're trying to think it into existence, but you should at least think about the implications of if your relationship didn't work out. Can you live with what would happen to your business? Because nobody ends up with anything. Sometimes bankruptcy or just the collapse of the business happens. Sometimes you might have a power couple that build a business together, and for some reason, the way they work together as a couple, that dynamic is very strong for business, but they don't want to stay married. And that's the thing. It could happen. You could actually be vibing in business and making it happen in business, but not be vibing personally. How do you handle that? Because if you decide to split, even if you were willing to split the money and everything, if you decide to split and you don't want to work as intimately with that person anymore, now whatever that dynamic, that synergy that you had with that person is no longer there. And what if your business's success was contingent on that synergy? So it's just, it's something to think about. And really, that's not just with the significant other, like a partner, lover, spouse, but that's really with anybody you go into business with. What if the success of that business was based on the synergy of you two or you three working together? A lot of, singing groups probably experience this. When people try to go solo, and their solo career isn't great, and the people who try to stay together isn't great. And it's really just about how that singing group was together. It was something about the fans, they liked that group together. I think sometimes business can be that way. So be careful about working with family. It can be done. It should be done. People should try. People should try to better themselves and improve their relationships with family so that they can get this money together. There should be nobody who you want to see profit more than your family members that you love. So there you go. Any questions? Let me say my hellos. I see a lot of returning people in here. Grace, let's see, Brian. Hello, hello, hello. Rebecca, Amani. I saw your comment there. You said don't. Let's see, Roxy, Chevy, Melvin. Hey, Melvin. Anthony, Eric, Dejanay. Oh, let me write down Dejanay because I wanted to shout her out. And I didn't know how to spell her name, so I couldn't find her. She's a designer for clothes. And I think now that people are seeing that some of these designers are not worthy of our patronage, it's time to start supporting the around the way designers that are very talented. I could not figure out the spelling. Okay, got it. Dejanay Thorpe. Not sure if she has a store, but I know she's a designer. There's my mom, Gregory, welcome back. Wesley, Keon, Michael, welcome back, and Francesco. Okay, so it's 9:46. I still have some time to hang out. Yesterday we actually had some latecomers and end up going for a while. Had a nice conversation. But anybody want to speak on this? Is anybody willing to do business with their family and friends? Hey, LeSean. Anybody willing to do business with your family and friends? Hey. Nope. Derek just keeps saying nope, nope, nope. Hey, know your family, know yourself, and stick with that. Stick with it. Because business is too hard. Business is too hard to be doing it with people who make you miserable. It won't be sustainable. Love. Jerome. Hi, Jerome. I'm willing too, because when I look at the pros and cons list, one of the things, the deciding factor for me is assessing the health of the relationships with my family. And the ones that I know love unconditionally and can bring some value. But yeah, not all of them. Nope, not all of them. And the other thing is, you can give folks a chance, but make sure you are prepared to make sure there's an exit strategy. You know, that's as painless as possible. You might say up front, let's say it's like a friend. You know, LeSean, we're best friends, and we're like, you know, we get together and we say, hey, look, let's just say on the front end, we're going to have like, you know how you tap out? When you're ready, you're gonna have like a word or something we say when we feel like one of us is out of line, or it's just to the point where, you know, this isn't working. It should be there should be some exit strategy or talk or indication that you all agree to ahead of time that you can do or say when you know it's time to tap out. And it's like you make a commitment on the front end that you will not let any business destroy your relationship. And remember, it might bring your score down for a little while, but your score can go back up. You know, your relationship score, the health of your relationship. If it's strong to begin with, you can afford to drop it a little bit. Yeah, an exit strategy for like when you're in a business that you realize you're ready to get out of. And that is actually a topic that I was going to do. I have a list of things that when I think of things, I'll just like type it in. And one of them is, I think I called it, know when to say when, or something like that. Because it's, holding on to something too long or not having a way out this like kind of smooth can really be difficult. Yeah. Exit strategy for your business. Yeah. The exit strategy. Yeah. And it's hard, it's difficult for some people because a lot of people don't even want to think about the exit strategy. But right before you came in, LeSean, I was talking about if a couple was working together or they were considering working together, no matter how in love they were, it might be worth considering the worst case scenario. Like if I go into business with this person and things don't work out, is that going to ruin the whole business? Or would we be able to come to some kind of terms that doesn't sacrifice the business? Because when some people split, they'll cut their nose off to spite their face and do a lot of silly things, and you just never know. Those things are difficult to anticipate. So thinking about an exit strategy on the front end, I think, is important. How do you get out of this partnership, or how do you get out of this business? That'll be a separate topic. Because knowing when to get out of the business, there are going to be some things and criteria the business needs to meet for you to know that you're no longer interested. So I would say the core people that are the most active in my business, well, I would say about now, it will be my family. In the past, I would say it's been about 50% family and 50% people outside my family, keeping the engines going, basically. Well, my family, they come like an army. They come like an army when I have ideas. They usually get behind nearly anything, anything I usually talk about business wise. They're usually willing to like listen and seriously consider and give it a shot, or give it a lot of consideration. So when you have people that believe in you like that, yeah, it makes me want to try to work with family, even though I know something like today might happen, And what happened today, by the way, I'm very transparent. I was the one that made the decision to bring a family matter to a business meeting where there were only family members in attendance. It was me that made that poor decision today to do it that way. You don't want to think of feelings. Yeah, separating business from personal, it's like you can't do it 100%. It's impossible. But there are some people that can do pretty good with it. Like people who are able to fire their own mother, spouses that don't call each other terms of endearment like hey honey or whatever, but when they are referring to their spouse amongst business people, they say Mr. whatever, like they both can have the same last name like Watkins, but the wife is saying, yeah, Mr. Watkins should be here shortly. not my husband, or not John, or not when he walks in the door, like, hey babe, you know, I personally feel like that's not the place for that. Even if you are a real lovey-dovey type couple, typically, I don't think that's the place for that. If you, like, I'll refer to my father, you know, as Mr. Watkins. That actually is his name when I'm talking to people. And in fact, we don't even like people to know our familial ties. But sometimes it's hard because some of us look alike. So, but when people kind of know the relationship, they may not take the business as seriously. My father, he runs one of the boarding homes where he's responsible for getting tenants in there, and they communicate with him when there's something like wrong or broke, and he'll get with me to let me know. I'll give him the money to get it fixed or do whatever. And that's what he does. So I will, if I ever have a moment where I'm talking to a tenant, and I'll be like, yeah, Mr. Watkins said that you mentioned the heat was broke. I won't say my dad, because it's just something about the way people shift when they feel like you're like a mom and pop business, basically. So, oh, that's one of the cons. That's one of the cons I forgot to mention. When you're a family business, sometimes people don't take your business seriously. They think you're mom and pop, basically. But yeah, it's very difficult. I think that the people that are real successful in business, that might be on their way to billionaire status, or people who have become billionaires, I think it might be difficult. It would be rare to see more than one of those in one family, in my opinion. Like the Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk. I'm sure it's possible, but like that billionaire type status, I think it's very rare. And what it takes to get to that level, if you've achieved it on your own merit, I don't think there will be more than one of those in a family. So sometimes when you see people like that at the top, I don't know if their families are involved in their businesses or not. I mean, they may not need to do anything, because they might just give them money and make sure they're taken care of and set. When you have that kind of money. My son told me that, what's his name? Oh, the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos. His son lives in my son's dorm. And he was like, the dude eats McDonald's and like wears the same outfit repeatedly throughout the week. Says that he has like the same outfit, but actually it'll be a new one, but it'll be like the exact same. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. You would think that, like, with all the money that he has, he would never step foot in a McDonald's or anything, but I was surprised that he actually lived on campus. But I guess, you know, your child grows up with you being rich. You still want them to have some kind of socialization and some normal experience of growing up. So maybe that's why he's living there in the dorm with everyone else. But I think you only have like one of those type of people, if anyone, if even one, in families. It's like diamonds. They're rare. Like diamonds, LeSean, we got to talk about that. I saw your message earlier. I definitely want to get with you and get on top of that. So we got any questions, comments? Wealthy people know how to keep their money. Yes, they do. They do. It's like by convincing yourself to live a simplistic lifestyle, even when you have it to spend, that's when you start to see your money pile up. And then you can use that money to make more money. And then at some point when you know you can pretty much buy anything that you want, it almost loses its appeal. It seems like it would lose its appeal. How to keep your money once you make it. Yeah, actually, I did speak on that, but it wasn't a whole topic, and I think that could be topic worthy. You know, how to keep your money, because we did talk about how people, what would you do if you were given like $1 million, which is not a lot of money, but you know, people that win the lottery end up broke within, I forgot the statistic my sister said, but I think it's like they end up back in the same spot they were in within a couple years. Diamonds aren't rare, they are locked up, so the value of them stay high. Actually, diamonds, I've been studying them. Diamonds are rare relative to other type of minerals and things. How they're formed is something that takes millions, and they suspect possibly billions of years. So all of the real diamonds that are from the earth, they are all the way so low, down deep. You have carbon, basically, and the carbon, it ends up, as it's under volcanoes, basically, and it ends up going through this pressure, extreme pressure and extreme temperatures, right? And then it's so hot, I guess, when it goes up, it starts to shoot up, right? And something about that rapid change in temperature is what crystallizes it. And then you have to then it like falls, I guess, lands wherever it may, and that's when you have to go and dig for it and find it and everything. So they are rare. Diamonds are rare. They're not being like reproduced in the earth. Their natural process takes millions of years. So that's why that's why they have value, because they're rare, relatively speaking. So, but the thing they do now is they actually can create diamonds in labs. They can create diamonds in labs, and they're technically considered diamonds with their chemical structure. So they're not like, you can't say it's a fake diamond. But it's not, I guess, I don't know what the word would be, like organic, but it's not like a natural diamond. You know, like how you have GMO stuff? You know what I mean? It's like, it really is what it is, but it was made by man, and, you know, by manipulating a process that allows you to make a diamond, basically. It's weird because me and LeSean just studied this like the other day. Terraformed. What's terraformed? Authentic. That might be the word. I'm not sure. Because fabricated would seem like the word for the ones in the lab. But I think because it's still a real diamond, I think it's still considered authentic. I think it's another word. Made by the planet. I say of the earth, basically. But even still, what they're doing, natural processes. How about if diamonds that occurred through the natural process? Orgasmic. You nasty girl, you. Organic. That's what I was saying, organic. That's what I was thinking initially. Organic. Yep. She's something else. Yep. Derek, he's the one I'm going to invite to one of our meetings so he can hear what we have to say, but I want to make sure that we come correct when we present things to people. That's why we got to work on the plan. We're supposed to be working on the plan today and couldn't work on the plan because one poor decision, one misjudgment got us off track today. Well, that's not all that got us off track, but had that decision not been made, we would have been on track. Yeah, that diamond thing I thought was interesting. I'm using the word diamond in something that I'm creating as a business, and that's why I just researched this. Yep. So what y'all want to talk about? Y'all done? I think we're about done with the pros and cons topic. We kind of know what to look out for when working with business. You could always try to give it a shot, and then if it doesn't work out, but be willing to for the relationship not to necessarily be the same, depending on how you handle things. So any more comments? No, what? No. Nope. I'm gonna come up there, and I'm bringing my laptop, and we're gonna at least log into this program you purchased and enter a couple of letters. I see what you're saying, Derek. You have your family support, but you won't let them join your company. That's a pretty good deal. Because if you have their support and they're not a part of it, that's a really good deal. If you have family that are willing to support you and they don't demand that in exchange for their support that they be a part of it, that's a pretty good deal. Stay focused, ladies. Yeah, staying focused. It can be difficult. 30-day boss up challenge. You've been here with me every day. We're on day 23. I'm showing up every day. That doesn't mean it's always easy. Doesn't mean I'm always at my best. It doesn't mean that every day is a success and bolstering with opportunity and positivity. It sucks sometimes. Yeah, it is time. 10 o'clock is supposed to be my check-in with everybody for our team, for the other thing I'm working on. So I will call it quits for the evening, but thank you for tuning in, everybody. Derek has called it. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, Business Builder Basics. Join the Facebook group with the same name, and I would really appreciate it. So much I would appreciate it. Your support. Thank you, and you all boss up.